The Nets fell to the Celtics 114-107 last night. Brooklyn now finds itself in a 2-0 hole as the series shifts back to New York. KD, yes, scored 27, but he was held without a field goal in the second half. 0 for 10. What happened? As Boston overcame a 17-point deficit earlier in the game. We're now joined by First Things First co-host Chris Broussard. Chris, what's your biggest takeaway from last night?
My biggest takeaway, Jen, was that this was all entirely on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Period. The others, Seth Curry, as Shaq calls them, the others, Seth Curry, Goran Dragic, Bruce Brown, combined for 57 points. And the others essentially led to the Nets equaling Boston on the backboards, which was a big problem in Game 1. And yet their two superstars didn't deliver. You mentioned KD 0 for 10 in the second half. He and Kyrie 1 for 17 combined in the second half. They get outscored by the other two stars, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who didn't have great games themselves until crunch time. They outscored KD and Kyrie 17-8 in the fourth quarter. And Peyton Pritchard for the Celtics matched KD and Kyrie combined with 8 fourth-quarter points just by himself. And Kyrie, look, Marcus Smart, to me, challenged Kyrie walking in the building. When he walked in the building with a hood, a boxer's robe on that said DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year, that's like a bullseye on your chest where Kyrie should be like, oh, I'm going to show him how good he is defensively. And he locked up Kyrie. And then Kevin Durant is struggling mightily against some physical, what I'll term 90s era defense. He is having trouble dribbling the ball. He's having trouble holding the ball. He's missing shots. And then when he's open, he's hearing footsteps and missing open shots. He's making Grant Williams look like Dennis Rodman in his prime. And Jason Tatum's blocking his shot one-on-one. Like, so on the court, those two aren't getting it done. But then as I'm watching that game, and I bet you guys felt the same way, I'm watching the game, and I'm not a Steve Nash hater like many of people out there. But I'm saying, okay, Nash has to get these guys some easy looks. You know, why can't he get, KD an easy look here or there? And why is KD bringing the ball up court more than Kyrie? Like, I'm looking saying, what adjustments, what is Nash doing? What is he telling him? But even that is on KD and Kyrie because this is what they wanted. They handpicked Steve Nash to be their coach. Yep. In part because Kyrie was like, we don't really need a coach. I mean, we're going to change the way head coaches are viewed because we're going to do our thing. He's not putting his philosophy on us. And in a game last night where they needed a coach to do something, because all the Nets do is ISO, high pick and roll, drive and kick. But that's what Kyrie and KD want. Remember when KD was in Golden State and he was like the last year there, I believe, or the second last, and he's starting to deviate from the pass-heavy offense. He wants to go ISO in the playoffs. Well, here you go. And if you look at all the highlights we were showing, the lowlights, if you will, KD's going one-on-one. Kyrie's going one-on-one. There's nothing creative to get them open looks. But that's what they wanted. They wanted that type of coach, and that's what they have. So when they needed somebody imaginative to just get them an easy look here or there, they don't have it. So this is all on KD and Kyrie right now, them being down 2-0.
So in other words, we're going to hold this like we hold Russ being in L.A. against LeBron. So are we going to hold that Steve Nash is there against KD? That KD put this roster together. All these guys are
Kyrie
here.
is the leader.
No. Best player to play it. Best player to play it.
Kevin went to Brooklyn because Kyrie said, let's go to Brooklyn. Okay.
I agree with you. This is all about KD and Kyrie, but this is not about Kyrie. This is about the best player on the planet going 0 for 10, 4 of 17 after going 9 of 24.
This is all in the second half.
All he had, Chris, for the past two games, if Kevin Durant gives you a C-minus performance, they're going to go back home up 2-0. All he has to do is give you a C-minus. I'm not even talking about A or B, C-minus. And they win these ball games. Now, all of a sudden, he's turning to Russell Westbrook, turning the ball over 6 times a ball game. He can't buy, but he bricking shots looking like Russell. I just need to know that's the best player on the planet. You told me you gave. And what was that stat he read?
No, you told me he and Kyrie are the most dynamic duo in the history of basketball. You told me that yesterday.
But
I don't know.
How did they play last night? The two most not dynamic offense. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you must have been shocked.
What about that stat? Chris, you got that stat? In the 8 games that KD played after loss, at the 8 games after KD.
39, 38.9. 38.9 points a game, 54% shooting. You're right. We talked about it last night. Skip and I expected a huge performance. The Celtics expected a huge performance.
They didn't.
But this physical ball is throwing KD off.
It is. They do a great job because they got long, athletic guys. They challenge him at every turn. Not only one, but the guy to the side of him that's coming, he's jumping also to try to mess with KD's peripheral. KD is struggling right now, and like you said, when you say, well, I don't need this, Skip, I don't need a coach. Most people have coaches because they can see things that's going on that you can't necessarily see, and they can put you in positions that, okay, this is what they're doing.
As long as you trust he's smarter than you are, right?
But see, when you're so skilled,
right.
Kyrie don't think any coach is smarter than he is. Kyrie believes that his skill set can get him any shot, anytime, anywhere on the court. And KD's starting to believe that also. That's why you got Steve Nash. So now Steve Nash standing on the sideline, and these guys can't work one-on-one, and they bring in a double team, and Steve, they like, oh, Steve, what you got? Now y'all figure it out. You know, hey, he on the sideline, calm down. You guys are okay. You guys are okay. Figure it out. Well, you're down 2-0, and you better find a way to score some easier buckets, and you better did. They shot 65% in the fourth quarter. The Nets are an offensive team. They say, look, we're going to get to 130. You can't get there. But what happens when they're struggling shooting the basketball, Skip, and then you can't stop anybody on the other end? You blow 17-point lead. You blow 7-point leads in the fourth quarter. And then you come out here with my 3 cases. Now, tomorrow when you come out here, you need to be pulling a trolley with 3 cases, 6 cases of dew on it.
You only owe me now 94? You owe me 94 cases. Tomorrow you need to drive a train into this studio full of Diet Dew back to the caboose. And now, for you, my friend Chris Broussard, yesterday, you and your staff set me up. It set me up for the longest fall of my career. I fell about 20 stories onto my face last night because I got more blindsided, more shell-shocked by one man's collapse than I ever have in my entire career. I have never, ever witnessed such a great player play such an awful game as Kevin Durant did last night. The Brooklyn Nets should be up 2-0. Even Chris said they should be happy about the way that they should be inspired by the way they played, encouraged in game 1. They should have won it. We know that Boston stole it in the end because the Nets quit playing any semblance of defense. And then last night, they're up 17 with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, are the Nets. They're up 10.5. I'm jubilant. I got this. They're up 5 going to the fourth quarter. And I said, silver platter, KD, we need Kevin bleeping Durant. And all he was bleeping Durant. Kyrie, you there? No, nowhere to be found. Are you kidding me? The most dynamic scoring duo with the deepest bags in the history of basketball managed 17 points in the fourth quarter and lost 29-17 and got basically blown off the court? You're kidding me. Kevin Durant, for whom I have the highest regard, best player on the planet, said I until last night, he was rendered to look slow and, dare I say, clumsy looking. He looked clumsy to me. Right. He looked weak and shaky passing the basketball as well as shooting the basketball because Boston's defense got so physical with him, they actually intimidated him. He got overmatched and overwhelmed by basketball defense. Yeah, they fouled him, but they just fouled him up because they fouled him so much they took their pounds of flesh from him and he shrank and he collapsed. And they snatched his heart right out of his body. He lost all his confidence, and whatever heart he had left, it was gone because they took it. They fronted him, they backed him, and even the little lob passes to the wing for him, they were so far out, he actually had to almost risk going out of bounds to catch the passes to turn and try to make a move with, and he dribbled it so high that it seemed like every other play the ball's loose somewhere because he had 6 total turnovers, back-to-back 6 turnover games. I have never seen anything like what happened to Kevin Durant and his little sidekick, Kyrie, because they should be flat out ashamed of what happened in Boston as they just gave the Celtics 2 games and the series because it is completely done and over. Thank you very much. They're about to join Lagon in Cancun.
Y'all, the Nets had 5 field goals in the fourth quarter, Chris. 5. Bruce Brown hit that corner 3. He had a dive. Dragic and Kyrie, I can't remember the other guy that hit a shot. But 5 field goals in a fourth quarter, and you let the opposing team shoot 65% from the floor. And I told you your Achilles heel has always been all year is defense. Anybody, because think about it, Seth Curry, he's guarding Jaylen Brown. They put the ball in his hand. If Kyrie Dragic, they put the ball in Marcus Smart's hand. You're going to always be at a disadvantage because you got those 2 small guards on there. Who can they guard? These are not defensive guys. So now you get Jason Tatum, or you get JB, Jaylen Brown, you get Marcus Smart. So you always in a situation where you had a big discrepancy in height, so I can post him up, or I can take Seth Curry, or I can take Kyrie off the dribble. KD is not a defensive guy. KD is a help defender. So now what are you going to do? You can't score, and now you can't prevent the other team from scoring when you got a 7-point lead, which leads to now you're down 0-2.
Well, all I can say.
I thought, Shannon, the defense was pretty good.
I agree.
For the first 3 quarters.
Yes, it was.
It was fine, for the first 3 quarters. But obviously, and the same thing in game 1, they couldn't get to stop it.